It's been an election cycle unlike any other.
A tumultuous 2020 full of uncharted territory and places we've been to before.
Vast uncertainty, spelling out victory or defeat.
Months, if not years in the making, all leading up to this.
Tonight, the eyes of the world on America.
Battle lines and mail-in ballots, the most unpredictable election day in decades.
And what happens next is anyone's guess. This is
your local election headquarters.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10.
Election night is here, and within minutes of the polls closing at 7 this evening, the results started pouring in.
We have been watching it play out live all evening right here on News 4. As you can see, our crews scattered across the metro, keeping us up to date on the very latest developments as those final counts begin to trickle in.
Our Flashpoint crew is also live in studio with us tonight, and we'll be breaking down this evening's results. But first, the fight for the Oval Office. There were 6 candidates on the ballot.
But the main showdown was the battle between, of course, President Trump and Joe Biden. A monumental election unfolding amid the worst pandemic in 100 years. 44% of the U.S. votes are in. Now, it could be up to 72 hours before we know the final results. But right now, the president is still ahead on the popular vote. More on that coming up soon.
Meanwhile, the race easy to call in the deep red state, Sooner State here. Oklahoma with 7 electoral votes for President Trump, with 65% of the vote. 91% of the votes right now are in. News 4's Heather Holman will join us with more on the presidential race in just a moment.
But let's get to our local races first, starting with that fiercely competitive one that you all could probably recite the commercials at this point, that had a lot of people watching, still does, the 5th Congressional District.
Republicans launched an all-out effort to win back the state's lone Democrat-held congressional seat, which was flipped by Kendra Horn in 2018.
Horn going head-to-head against State Senator Stephanie Bice, the Republican aiming to take the seat back. It's a 2,000-vote race right now, down to less than 1,000 actually.
We've got crews standing by live at both watch parties right now, waiting for those final votes to come in. And News 4's Peyton Yeager is live from Kendra Horn's watch party. Peyton.
Jolene, Kevin, we're here at Tower Theater, where it is a socially distant watch party here for Congresswoman Kendra Horn. The results flipping back and forth. To be honest, right before live, I checked the Oklahoma State Election Board and Bice was winning, and then I checked it again and Congresswoman Horn was winning. So it's going down to 1,000 votes and then 500 votes in between. So it's neck and neck as we expected. The early votes came in around 7 p.m. from Pottawatomie and Seminole County and some of Oklahoma County, leaning blue. But then as more of the election day of votes came in, Bice started to close the gap, closer to 50-50 votes. But it is a socially distanced party. Everybody has their eyes on their phones and on the screens. The stage is behind me. Congresswoman Kendra Horn not making an appearance until the race is called. We have only about 40 precincts left, and it's flipping back and forth. Now, State Senator Stephanie Bice's watch party across town, KF4's Jessica Bruno is there right now. Jessica, let's check in with you.
Yeah, Peyton, we're here at the Hilton Garden Inn in Edmond, and Kevin said it earlier, this really is a fiercely competitive race, as you said just a few moments ago. Bice now in the lead with about 1,000 votes, and they've really been neck and neck all night. But here all night, what has remained the same is this crowd. It's been very lively, pretty packed room. We've got music, several speakers all night, a lot of people in high hopes. Now, one of those speakers was Governor Kevin Stitt. We also spoke with him one-on-one as well, and he believes that Bice will pull through.
Feeling really good. It's looking very positive for President Trump, and Oklahoma went Trump early, and then Stephanie Bice seems to be closing in the 5th district. So.
Now, I'm told either win or loss, Stephanie Bice will be taking the stage tonight. And I was also told we should be able to speak with her as well, either way, no matter what the results are. So Kevin and Jolene, we should have that for you later on tonight. At this point, no idea when this will be called. Very close race, guys.
Thank you, Jessica. Another matchup playing out in Oklahoma tonight involving a storied incumbent versus a newcomer. We're talking about the race for U.S. Senate.
The two front-runners, longtime incumbent Republican Jim Inhofe and Democratic challenger Abby Broyles, two independents and a Libertarian candidate also in that pool.
In the event of full disclosure, Broyles worked for KFOR prior to launching her campaign. But within minutes of the polls closing, the AP already calling Inhofe the winner.
Our crews are standing by live with reaction, and News 4's Austin Brissett kicks us off in Broken Arrow and Inhofe's early victory.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. This one was actually called really early by the Associated Press, and as you can see here behind me, the Tulsa GOP Watch Party still going strong as of right now. Not a lot of social distancing, not even a whole lot of masks here right now. These people that attended were told to take their own COVID precautions, but there's been a lot of singing. It has been very, very high energy, and Senator Inhofe actually attended. We spoke to him several hours ago, and he said that this will likely be his last go-around in the United States Senate. The vote tallies were coming in, but again, after an AP projected win, Inhofe will continue his long run in politics. His plans include a strong military and prioritizing the pandemic by finding a vaccine by the end of the year and hoping the pandemic is passed by April. He spent 53 years total in politics, 25 of those as a United States Senator, where he's won just about every race by a landslide. And the previous person to hold the seat being Democrat David Boren, and Inhofe is excited for another victory.
So it's you on the ground that are making this happen. We're going to save America together, okay? That's great. I applaud you guys.
And very interesting here. A lot of cheering still going on behind me. The party, as you can hear right here, still very interesting. A lot of cheering going on. But for now, let's go ahead and send it back to the Metro. Brent Starkey is with competitor Abby Broyles tonight. Brent.
Yeah, very different scene here at the Cole Court Hotel, downtown Oklahoma City. No watch party, just a media press room where Abby Broyles came in twice tonight to talk to the media about the senatorial race. She was gaining ground in the polls going in. She thought she had a legitimate chance at this. Early on, just 15 minutes after the polls were scheduled to close, the AP calling this race, she tweeted out saying that that call was wildly irresponsible, calling it voter suppression because so many people were still in line both in Oklahoma City and Tulsa to vote, two places that Abby thought she had a pretty good chance at doing well in. But about 9:45, she came back in front of the media, said this is not the way the campaign wanted to end for her, but it has come to an end. And she especially remembers some of the young females that she touched during this campaign.
To every little girl who watched this race, we are not done yet. I will always remember our conversations from North Tulsa to Norman to Northeast Oklahoma City. We still have a path to carve out, and you better believe I'm going to be standing with you, leading that charge.
31-year-old does fail to reach that Senate seat that she was shooting for, but it looks like we have more Abby Broyles probably in the future of Oklahoma politics. From downtown Oklahoma City, Brent Starkey, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Brent, thank you very much. And another key race, the historic headline out of Oklahoma County, the sheriff's race here. For the first time, voters choosing between two black candidates, Democratic candidate Lieutenant Waylon Cubitt and Republican candidate Officer Tommy Johnson III. And they were neck and neck all night, but you can see right now that Tommy Johnson has pulled ahead with 88% of the vote in. News 4's Angela Shin has been busy tonight. Angela, you were at Democrat Waylon Cubitt's watch party earlier. Now you're at Republican Tommy Johnson's watch party. Update us.
Yeah, the crowd has been super excited as they've seen Johnson inch ahead. Now, earlier, like you said, throughout the night, it was neck and neck. I mean, nearly 50-50. But now, as you said, Johnson is inching ahead now. Now, earlier tonight, we were at Cubitt's party, surrounded by a lot of friends and family. Cubitt was really highlighting the experience he has in the law enforcement field, while Johnson really focused on the fresh perspective that he wants to bring to the sheriff's office. And like you said, it's a historic race. Whoever wins will become the first black sheriff in the county. I asked them earlier what they'd want to say to young people of color.
Look at me, look at my opponent, and believe that you can do it too. You can do it.
Don't let anybody put a limitation on you. You can do whatever you want to do.
Again, they've been neck and neck for most of the evening, but Johnson is pulling ahead now. The crowd here is very excited every time they see his face pop up on the screen and see that he is, in fact, in the lead now. But we'll have to see when all the precincts have reported their results, and we'll see exactly what those results are going to be. We'll keep you updated. Reporting live, Angela Shen, Oklahoma's News 4.
Thank you, Angela. Meanwhile, Oklahoma voters have tackled the issue of prison reform before, but tonight, a new justice reform measure was on the table, and it failed. State Question 805 would have made judges unable to use somebody's previous nonviolent felony conviction against them during sentencing for a different nonviolent crime. Voters shut it down by a percentage, 61% of the votes here. They voted no. State Question 814, it also failed. That was another one. It would have used Oklahoma's Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, or TSET, you've probably heard of that, the money from TSET, to fund the Medicaid expansion Oklahomans voted for back in June. Well, now back to the presidential race. Oklahoma giving Donald Trump 7 electoral college votes to his total. And here is another look at the national results as well. 58% of the vote is in, but 50% going to Donald Trump. Those are the U.S. votes. News 4's Heather Holman standing by live with more. Heather.
Well, because of this unprecedented levels of mail-in ballots and early voting due to the pandemic, it still may take some time until we get results, and final results may look different to what early results are showing right now. As the first polls close tonight, NBC News projecting President Trump the winner in a series of red and blue states. But at this hour, the race for the White House is still very much an open question and very close. In early projections, the president laying claim to Indiana, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Biden on top in Vermont, New Jersey, Maryland, and his home state of Delaware. Election officials are urging patience, calm, and faith that every vote will count. Pennsylvania election officials say it could be Friday at the earliest that all of their ballots are counted. Pennsylvania is one of the battleground states. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on any new developments. Kevin.
Heather, thank you. A lot to unpack here, and I know just the people to do it. Our Flashpoint crew joining us live.
We can do it. How much time do we have?
I know. Well, you're going to have a little while this time.
All right.
We're going to break it down here. Guys, they're saying it could be days before we know who actually wins the presidential race here because of those early votes still being counted. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. Take it and run with it.
Right.
Todd Lamb.
Well, those votes are being counted. And keep in mind, Pennsylvania, they're going to be allowed by state law. The legislature passed this in a bipartisan effort, mind you, that in Pennsylvania, they can count ballots up until November 6th. Not an hour past, not a day past November 6th, as long as the ballots were postmarked by November 3rd today. So depending on how many votes come in after the 3rd, and really what's important, it could be 72 hours. Michigan's important, yes, but Mike, how many, what the margin of victory is for either candidate. Trump is winning right now in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the linchpin. It's key for a Trump victory.
Very well put. And the biggest news so far, or at least recently, for Joe Biden was it looks like Arizona. He needed it. He got it. But you're right, Kevin, and you're right, Todd. Now we go back to Pennsylvania, and then we go back to North Carolina. And how about Michigan? How about Minnesota? How about Wisconsin? They're all up in the air. And for Biden to win, he needs them. Not all those, but he needs at least 3 of the 5 or 4 of the 5. Let's keep counting. The whole race came down to just 2 things, I think. The pandemic and the polarization. The disease and the division. And I kept saying, Biden said, unity over division. Hope over fear. Science over fiction. I thought it was a winning message. I still think it is, but I'm not as sure as I once was, Todd. It makes you wonder exactly how this is going to play out, Kevin.
All right, now let's, Mike's fond of saying, shrink the universe down to Oklahoma. We got a minute here. CD5. Todd. Okay. Stephanie Bice is ahead now after being behind all evening.
Right.
What do you see happening?
About 50%. Bice is up by 700 votes. What's important to note here is Trump carried Pottawatomie County by over 71%. Trump carried Seminole County, which is also in CD5, over 71%. Those are going to be coattails carrying into Oklahoma County. How well Trump does in Oklahoma County will help Stephanie Bice, arguably. And right now it's a tight race, but how well Trump does in CD5, Bice will do.
And to add to that, Kevin, last I checked, Biden was beating Trump, not in Oklahoma, but in Oklahoma County, like 48 to 45. I mean, so we'll see what happens. I mean, there could be coattails there for Kendra Horn on Joe Biden being ahead in Oklahoma County. I heard what he just said about Pot County and Seminole County.
All right.
I still think Kendra Horn wins the race.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to have a lot to discuss on Flashpoint Sunday. That is for sure.
See you Sunday.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Todd.
Meanwhile, the state election board says hundreds of cars lined up outside the state election board well into the evening, each one delivering ballots from their precinct. The ballots were supposed to be dropped off by 8 o'clock, but by nearly 9 o'clock, it was still going strong. Unofficially, the state election board believes more than half the state voted in this election, just more than 55%. Oklahoma also smashed early voting records. More than 437,000 early ballots were cast. That's nearly double the amount of 2016. Oklahoma's voter registration numbers also skyrocketing. 169,000 people have registered to vote since January 1st. That is the highest number ever before a presidential election in Oklahoma. Republicans still make up the majority of Oklahoma's voters, 50%. 33% are Democrats, 16% independent, and Libertarians, 0.66%. Polls are closed, of course. The results are in, but our coverage is not over. A full election breakdown live on our website at KFOR.com. We are back with more next.
Next in weather.
And 100% of the votes have been counted. A landslide victory today for the winner. The Oklahoma weather, 76 our daytime high. We'll check out your 7-day plus 4 coming up.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10 with Jolene Cheney, Kevin Ogle, Mike Morgan, Brian Brinkley, and Adam Snyder in your corner. Oklahoma's News 4, looking out for you.
Well, we are out of time, but the race isn't over.
Right now, we are still closely following several races, close races. That's including the presidential one. Our crew's still out. We're going to be updating you with more on what's happening as those final ballots are cast. That update coming to you right here on Oklahoma's News 4, your local election headquarters at 10:56.
In the meantime, live coverage and the latest results available anytime at your fingertips on KFOR.com. We'll see you at 10:56 for another live look at what's happening specifically with that congressional race here.